Hi, Chips. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, I just saw the space, and it's something I've been following a bit. So when I saw solved beside quantum gravity, I just had to jump in. Sorry to interject. So I
No,
think
don't be sorry. You just have a
oh,
conversation,
okay,
bro.
okay, all right. Okay, all right. So the reason why I have been a bit obsessed with quantum gravity, uh, at least based on my research. So this is a hobby. I mean, like, a bit of a hobbyist research, and it was because of what it portended. So if it was solved, so when I did a bit of research, because I'm obsessed with space,
Hmm.
and I'm doing a bit of personal research on what I call artificial gravity generators. So basically, what that means is that how can space stations or space vehicles have gravity that would allow people, not to be weightless? So how can you mimic what happens on Earth, which is we are pulled into gravity,
Hmm.
we are pulled to the Earth's mass via gravity. That is the mass of the Earth itself. So how can that happen in space? And then I went down the rabbit hole, and then so I went into what was the current research on gravity, and then so I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was the proposal that if quantum mechanics and the gravity research merged together, then they would find the particle. They would find the particle that is supposed to be responsible for gravity, and so they call it graviton. Just the same way you
Yeah.
have, electrons and all that. So they were saying that, okay, we don't know what particle is particularly responsible for gravity, but if there was a merging, and if we did the research and we would ideally find something called graviton, which would explain, at a fundamental level why gravity happens at a more macro level. And then, so if that was then discovered, ideally we would then be able to manipulate graviton the same way we can manipulate the atoms,
Yes.
and then we can then beat whatever laws gravity currently limits us. So in terms of, you know, going the whole warp drive and whatever, things then become more possible, and then math does not become an issue again with things like speed of light. So I've been following that. So um, when I just saw solve behind it, I just had to just come and find out
Yes.
what exactly the state of the art is.
Yes. You are in the right place. So let me. Are you from Nigeria?
Yes, yes, I am.
Yes.
I'm from
Okay.
Nigeria.
So I'm from Cameroon. I was born in Cameroon.
Okay.
And I came to America when I was 12 years old. But since I was in Cameroon, I was obsessed with this question, and the question was, what are the fundamental rules of the universe? So like for example, if we strip everything away, everything that we can see, everything that we can measure, and we just go to the baseline substrate, right? What is that thing? And if we discover what that thing is, let's say it's some rules, right? Then would these be the rules that govern everything if we get to the fundamental substrate? And that's kind of been the angle that quantum mechanics took, right? Quantum mechanics is like, okay, let's try to figure out, let's just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and we ended up discovering the different particles. We have quantum chromodynamics, we have quantum mechanics. We have this language that gives us a way to model subatomic systems, right? And you mentioned the graviton. Uh, the graviton is a hypothetical particle, right? It hasn't been discovered yet.
Yeah.
But the graviton, uh, the physicists assume that because they discovered particles, other particles at the subatomic scale, that this hypothetical particle, the graviton, might exist, and they can attribute this graviton to the force of gravity, right? And this will allow them to unify gravity, um, electromagnetism, the strong force and the weak force,
The
right? So
weak
the goal,
force.
the
Yeah.
goal essentially is these four forces, right?
Yeah.
And quantum chromodynamics unified three of those forces: electromagnetism, strong and weak force. And then the one thing that has been left has been that was left was gravity. And gravity has been very difficult to reconcile with these other three forces. And
Yeah.
gravity essentially uh, allows us or gives us an understanding of macroscopic things, the big things, the celestial systems, right?
Yeah.
And quantum mechanics, which is the unification of the three other subatomic forces, gives us an understanding of microscopic things, small things. So the question
Mm,
basically is this: is there a way to unify these two perspectives or these two different languages? So that's the goal
mm.
of quantum gravity, is to unify these two. And
So that everything makes sense.
yes, so basically, I've been obsessed with this question too. By the way, you said you were obsessed with it, but I've been obsessed with it pretty much my whole life. Like, I've been literally sleeping. Like, actually, if you go on the comment section, I
Mm-hmm.
posted my most recent paper that I just published that tried
Oh,
that I believe I might have solved this problem.
wow.
So essentially, what I realized was, 420 earlier mentioned the word relationships, right? Essentially, we're looking for a language, or a general language, to model all relationships in the universe,
Yeah.
all
Based on the
relationships,
theory of everything.
right? Because systems emerge, right? They interact with each other, and then they die, sort of like humans. We emerge, we're birthed, we interact with our environment, with our families, with nature, with the universe, and then we die. Uh, and this seems to be an aspect of all systems in the universe. Think about the supernovas, right?
The
Galaxies
stars.
die,
Mm-hmm.
things are birthed,
Yeah.
stars die.
Are birthed.
So there's emergence, there's interaction, and then there's death, right? So essentially, it's
Yeah.
all about relationships, whether it's the subatomic relationships or it's celestial relationships, right?
Mhm.
Planets, there's a revolution. There's everything is interacting with each other, right? So the
Mhm.
question is, what is the governing principle of all those interactions,
Behind all of them.
right? And essentially, my assumption is that it's a language, or it's a fundamental language of reality, or an algorithm, or a fundamental algorithm that governs everything, right? So it's like a
Mm.
rule.
So are you trying to collapse the four forces into a singular um, model, or a singular I don't know, definition? So basically, by saying it's a single, it's it's a principle. You're basically saying that those four forces can still be brought down into a singular language that then branches out into four of them.
Good question. Um so these four forces, right? So when you look at the force of gravity and all the other three forces,
Hmm.
the assumption is that they might just be a different interpretation of a more
Hmm.
fundamental thing.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? So
yeah, it does.
instead of us, and currently academia is trying to reconcile them by like trying to like stick them together, trying to like marry them together, or glue them together. Uh, that's why they have the graviton and all that stuff. But
Mhm.
my assumption is that these these are just different interpretation of the same fundamental rule. Like, there is a baseline substrate that governs the whole thing, right? And if we discover that thing, then that will be the thing that birthed all these different rules. Does that make
Well,
sense? Let's do this.
I,
Let's do this. Let's do this. So, Chief, do you have a computer in front of you?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So, do you guys both have ChatGPT?
Hmm.
So,
I do.
to
Yeah.
go and take my paper, the paper that I pinned it in the comment section. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah.
Go and download that paper and put it into ChatGPT and ask it, does this paper unify quantum quantum mechanics and gravity? Because
Okay.
the paper is 120 pages long, so I know you guys are probably not going to be able to read it while we talk. But if we do that, we can work throughout the paper together, and you can see my logic.
Okay. But well, while I do that, do you want to just give a snapshot for why you think it's unifies it? Because I'm trying to sign into my Kindle. That might take a
Okay,
bit
no,
of
take your time. So essentially, my understanding, and bear in mind, okay. So, do you know who Michio Kaku is?
yes, I do.
Okay, so
Japanese.
when I was
Yeah.
still in Cameroon, right? I watched the documentary that Michio Kaku released. I forgot what it was. I think it was The God Equation. I think I was like 11 years old. And The God Equation, the documentary, Michio Kaku said something very profound, and that triggered something in me that made me want to go